week.
This meeting is being recorded.
Can you please, actually, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So I hope you have a good learning week last week, where you have introduced to environmental health, and you have like two online classes with experts from NIRE. And I hope everyone is also reading the modules and doing the assignments. We have seen that many of you are not joining all the sessions. Still, we have only uh, 9 participants. So we have total 17 participants. So please keep this one thing in mind, that you need to take all the sessions seriously, and also you need to do the assignments in the Moodle. And in case you have any queries, you can put it on Moodle, and our experts will try to respond as soon as possible. So today, yesterday we have started this module 2 on fundamentals of community-based participatory research, and this module is open from 24th to 30th of April. So today we have with us Dr. Rajesh Tandon. Dr. Tandon is a founder president of PRIA and UNESCO chair in fostering social responsibility and community engagement in higher educational institutions. Dr. Tandon is also a part of expert group of UGC and pioneer in preparing the guidelines for higher education institutions on community-based participatory research. So thank you very much, sir. And Dr. Tandon is joining from Victoria, so it's late night. It's already, I think, 10 p.m. there, sir. So today we are having a session with Dr. Tandon, and he will be speaking about the history of community-based participatory research, its relevance, and why it is important. So we'll hear from Dr. Tandon, and we'll also, in case any one of you have gone through the module, you please, if you have any questions, you please reserve your questions after the Dr. Tandon's presentation, and we'll hear from Dr. Tandon now. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Anshuman, and hello to everybody. Good morning to you, I guess. I'm very glad that many of you are continuing to show interest in this course. We are sometimes not used to learning on an online platform, because in our earlier schooling, we were used to physical classroom. But I think times are changing, and so we all need to adjust ourselves to these online classrooms conducted as if they are physical classrooms. Of course, this course is a professional development course for you all. We hope you will learn the use of participatory research methodology and environmental health issues so that you can undertake research on this in the field and build your competence both in environmental health and in use of participatory research in environmental health. So while we are not taking any attendance in a Moodle platform, it's easy to find out who is reading, who is not reading, how many times you enter the platform. As you know, all this is recorded. In the digital world, it's very difficult to hide anything. So let me tell you some history of participatory research, a phraseology that some of you may have heard. Maybe some of you were taught this in your research methodology course. Many of you are from social sciences, so you may have come across this phraseology. When I began to do my fieldwork for my PhD in 1977 in Western Rajasthan, I began to spent time with the tribal community there in rural areas. And I was well prepared to undertake proper field research. That was because I was well trained in a quantitative survey research methodology. By virtue of my engineering education, I knew even how to use computers, and SPSS package was recently designed at that time. However, when I went around and spent time in the rural areas, many things started surprising me. First thing that surprised me was that even though most of these rural people were illiterate, they didn't know how to read or write, they were very knowledgeable. They knew agriculture, they knew what time to sow, what time to harvest. They also knew what variety of corn to grow, what variety of black chana to grow, when. They also knew a lot about water harvesting. They were making water bunds so that when it rained, they could store it, and then water would go down into the soil and water table will remain intact. All this they knew, and they explained to me in their own way. They also explained to me how water from the well has to be filtered through a piece of cloth, one angaucha on your shoulder, and you filter the water because it has naudu. And I realized they were very expert in looking after the cattle, because all of them have some. And I spent a year, and I looked around, and I realized there were not many veterinary health facilities, but they seemed to know how to take care of them. When they got sick, they knew what to do. They would use some local herbal treatment, and very rarely did they take their cattle to the city. So I was quite quite continuously quite surprised that they knew a great deal, and their knowledge had nothing to do with their illiteracy. They remained illiterate, but they were knowledgeable. Second thing I realized that even though I was very highly educated, I was certified, I had BTech, MBA, I was doing PhD in management from US. I had lots of professional qualifications, but there were many things that I didn't know. Many things that they taught me, I didn't know. And there were many things that I assumed I would know, but I didn't know. For example, I was looking at the government system, how rural development programs were being implemented. And I thought I knew, because what I knew was what was official, formal description of rural development administration. But as we know, later on, I realized that what is written on paper is never in reality. Never in reality. There is something else there. Something is missing from the formal paper, and something new is added, which is not in the paper. But as a student of management during MBA and during my PhD, I only read paper. No, I read books, I read case studies, I read journal articles, I read lecture notes of my teachers. That's all I read. So what I thought I knew was also somewhat problematic. There were gaps in my knowledge, serious gaps in my understanding, because what was on the ground was very different from what was on the paper. So I began to think about ways in which research can be undertaken, because I was trained as a researcher. I knew how to do research. Research can be undertaken which uses the knowledge that community has and which serves the problems, finds solutions to the questions that community is facing. And we began to give it the label participatory research. Participatory research at that time, in the late 70s, was beginning as a new approach to investigating reality, understanding, studying reality. But it had two other components. All researchers study reality. Participatory researchers also study reality. But the additional component, one additional component was that it studies reality along with those who are actors in that reality, who are living that reality, who experience that reality. So researchers from outside go there to that reality, to that location, to that geography, to that community, to that organization, to that neighborhood, whatever. But those who are living there become co-researchers. And the second important difference was that research process was a learning process for the community as well, for the local partners as well. And partners can be anybody. It can be a government department, it can be a local company, it can be a local NGO, local school, doesn't matter. So traditionally, the research training I got seemed to suggest that as a researcher, my job is to go there, having done proper literature review, frame research questions, conduct research, collect data, and go back to where I came from, analyze the findings, analyze the data, systematize the findings, and publish a report. Maybe I go present it in a conference. But here, we began to give research process a slightly enlarged meaning. One meaning was co-investigation. Community is researching with us in many different ways. You will read several examples. You may have also experienced it yourself. And secondly, that the research process was an educational learning process, not just for the researcher, but also for the community. So participatory research, therefore, began not just in India, but spread in other places, came about in other places, where the purpose of research was a combination of producing new knowledge as well as bringing about change. All research produces new knowledge. There's no point in doing research if you don't produce new knowledge, right? But traditionally, research is conducted to produce new knowledge, and that's it. Nothing more. Participatory research began to promote the idea that the purpose of research is produce new knowledge as well as to bring about improvements in the situation, change the situation. And if the situation has to be changed, then researchers themselves have to be aware Please keep yourself muted. You will all get a chance to speak. So participatory researchers do research with the clear purpose of generating new knowledge, but also bringing about change, contributing to the process of change. Now, many people think that this is not researcher's job. We have done the study, we have produced good knowledge, and we have now written it up. It's somebody else's job to bring about change. You know, there is in natural sciences, there is a concept of lab-based research and then technicians who convert research into technology for implementation. But the important thing to remember is that when community becomes, people in that situation become your co-researchers, they help you frame your research question better. They provide better, more authentic information. They bring new aspects of your research into focus, and they own the findings of research. If they own the findings of research, which means they now own and see their own the research findings, the new knowledge that has been produced, then they take interest and responsibility in implementing that new knowledge. So change and actions related to change begin to happen because for community also, it is their knowledge. Otherwise, if the knowledge is only owned by the researcher from outside the situation, howsoever competent that research may be, local community does not own the knowledge, doesn't feel it belongs to them, doesn't feel it has taken into account all their perspectives, their experiences, and then they don't find that knowledge actionable. So participatory research helps us to rethink the purpose of research, not limited to new knowledge, but also to bring about change, bring about improvement. And it also helps us to rethink the role of community as a partner in research. Now, let me give you another example from my experience. Many years ago, it must be 25, 30 years ago, the state of Chhattisgarh was not yet created. So it was Eastern Madhya Pradesh. And after liberalization in early 90s, by mid 90s, a number of new industrial units were being set up in that state, that region. The state became in 2000, but in that region. And because of the availability of certain raw materials, several cement factories came there. Now, Eastern Madhya Pradesh and now Chhattisgarh is also, as you know, a rice bowl. It is one of the few states still which produces 35, 40 varieties of rice, still. So we were I was part in Priya, we were doing a study of employment in rural areas, and we thought that the new factories like cement factories were generating good employment. We wanted to. So when we were moving around there, some farmers, talking to them, they said, you know why you are studying employment? I said, no, we are studying employment because we were working with some departments of the government and they were interested. And we were thinking that by studying employment, we will help the young people. He said, no, 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 you're studying employment because a lot of the older farmers are becoming unemployed. So I said, they're becoming unemployed, meaning I thought that maybe their land was taken away for setting up the factory. So they were displaced and maybe they got not enough compensation, something to that effect. But they said, you see, you don't know why elderly farmers are becoming unemployed. And they are semi-literate, illiterate. They only know farming. So I said, no, I don't know. So they took us around. We went around in motorcycle. And for several kilometers away from the cement factory, they showed us how a thin layer of silica dust emanating from the cement factory was covering the soil in which they used to do agriculture. And within 4 or 5 years of the cement factories functioning in that region, several thousand hectares of good quality agricultural land had become less productive. And that is why that farmer was telling us that we are becoming unemployed. That if agriculture productivity goes down, family income goes down, the quality of land for agriculture is diminished, then they will be forced to look for some other livelihood. And so we then conducted a study on this. And we conducted the study in partnership with National Institute of Occupational Health, because they had some professors who were knowledgeable about silica. Of course, they had looked at silica from a silicosis point of view, the impact of silica on the lungs and breathing system of human beings. But they were able to analyze with us silica, and then we brought in some local, some in the regional office, there were some agricultural scientists, and they looked at the quality of soil. Now, in this story, so let me complete the story. So then we did the study, we saw the silica there, we saw declining quality, fertility of soil. We gathered some numbers about how every year the productivity of land was going down in main crop like rice. And then we looked at the technology of the cement factories through some expert who suggested that proper filtration mechanism was not in place and it should be. So this study then was presented in a platform, in a meeting where government officials, company officials, farmers, local scientists, they were all present. And everybody together presented and discussed the study. So what happened really? It is the farmers who brought to our notice the relevant research problem of silica dust coming out of cement factory, making soil less fertile. And they understood the impact of silica on reducing fertility of the soil from a practical experience. They did not understand how much silica dust causes, how much problem to the soil, which component of the soil composition, etc., etc. But they knew productivity is going down, and they are not getting the yield that they continued to yield earlier. And they could see the dust on their land. And then when the study led to a study of the health of young children and older people in those villages, the impact of silica on their health was also added as a research question. So it was not just an issue of livelihood, but also an issue of health. And because the farmers framed the research question in some way, because they got involved, they took all the technical experts who came in various locations over a period of 6-8 months. They gave their time, their effort. They used the study. They used the study to educate fellow farmers. They used the study to discuss with district health department how health issues can be taken care of. They then, with the help of industry department, negotiated better filtering arrangement in the cement production factories. Now, it doesn't mean all problem was solved. It doesn't mean that factory owners totally agreed with the solutions. It also doesn't mean that future research on those issues need not be conducted, and it was conducted. But what is important to understand is that by being open to the possible ways of framing a research question, we went there looking for employment for younger people who were somewhat educated due to factory opening. And we were challenged with unemployment of illiterate elderly farmers. It completely changed the research question. And it expanded into a set of research issues for which our team was incompetent alone. And we had to bring in other knowledgeable people and other experts, but constantly in consultation with those farmers, in negotiation with them, in discussion with them. The experts would sit in the village meetings and explain what is silica. And then people will relate that silica to their symptoms. And then they will say, this is, and typically when silica or cotton dust bisonosis goes into the lungs, the first reaction of most doctors is to say, oh, you are smoking bidi, that's why you cough. It's asthma. It is understandable because many doctors are also not taught about these things in MBBS. But when they understood the symptoms and they understood silica, they looked at the soil, they would dig soil, 7-8 inches, and they will bring samples from diversity of places. And they will say, this soil is less affected than this. And it will turn out to be more or less like that when tested. So yes, soil was tested properly. Yes, health testing was done. But the symptoms they could relate to, and many of them said, we have never smoked bidis. Why are we having this? So it has to do something else. And that's why the correlation was established. And if correlation established in their minds, in their head, that means they own the findings. It is their correlation. It is not just an expert's correlation. And then they take action on that. So this is just another example. There are many such examples. And I'm sure you all have heard about it, read about it. Some of you may have even practiced this. So the important thing in participatory research is to start with the thinking that this research will produce new knowledge as well as contribute to change, improvements in that situation. Secondly, the academically trained researchers like you and me need to be open to the possibility that local people, non-experts, residents, community members may also have knowledge. They may be knowledgeable, not necessarily in the same domains as we are. Secondly, their knowledge may be experiential, not bookish. Their knowledge may be over generations, not documented in written form. And some of their current understanding may not be relevant to today's context because knowledge which has traveled over generations, situations change and that knowledge may become less relevant. But openness to that knowledge and openness to respecting that knowledge is an important aspect of participatory research. The third issue is that in framing the research question, most of the time we go there with our theoretical, conceptual literature review steps to frame a research question. We can start with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But then if you go to a location and you're looking at water pollution, or you're doing environmental health study around issue of water, then having a conversation with local people, looking around, even finding out what else people know locally about water, how water is used, water is stored, water comes from well, or it comes from hand pump, or it comes from pipe, or a combination of these, then it helps us to improve our research questions, make them more focused, and it also gives the community to have a say in building that research question. Now, if we do this, then the next step in research is to collect data. And typically, researchers develop their own tools of data collection, which they have been taught, and they think there are no other methods. But there are many methods of data collection. And firstly, we have to start with what people already know on that topic. So as I was saying, most of their knowledge is oral. It is not written up. Most of their knowledge is based on practice. So how do we harvest their knowledge? This is where you will learn various methods of undertaking participatory research, which help your community partners to share their knowledge, even if they are semi-literate, even if it is oral knowledge, even if it is knowledge which is not written up in the form of a document. Because we need that knowledge, it is in our interest to use those methods which will provide ease in sharing that knowledge by them. And then when we have finished data collection, we start analyzing it. We analyze the data typically on the basis of the framework we have started with. And in analysis, in participatory research, there are two ways you can analyze data. One, you share the data with the community partners and ask them, what does it mean to them? And second is you analyze it with your own frameworks and find out what the data means to you as a researcher. And bring those two understandings to interact. What conclusions you drew from that data and what inferences they draw from that data. Because their inferences, they will draw in any case. Therefore, it is better for us to know what those inferences are. And if any of those inferences are not matching our conclusions, let's explain to them and let us hear what they explain to us. So in a way, data analysis begins to provide synthesis for actionable findings. And it builds the platform, momentum for them to take action, including learning, educational action. What are the implications of this kind of an exposure? What are the implications of storing water like this? What are the health hazards of consuming water like this, of using water from this source? All this becomes an educational process. And when they understand, they change. Similarly, your findings along with theirs can also be used with other stakeholders like district administration, water department, panchayat institutions, urban local bodies, etc. So in this research process, you remain a researcher. It's not that you stop being a researcher, you remain a researcher. But you find partners in your research from the communities, from the locations where you are undertaking that research. And in finding the partners, in involving them in different steps of the research process, you become open to new ways of understanding as well as new possibilities for change. You can write your research findings and publish in journals, as well as find satisfaction in the fact that improvements in the situation are beginning to happen because of new knowledge. So while Dr. Anshuman will give you large number of readings on participatory research, including many written by me, that is all participatory research is about. It's not very complicated. It just needs opening our minds, eyes, nose, ears, and looking at the purpose of your contribution in knowledge production as to improve situation, bring about change. So all the very best. I will return to these sessions later when you are practicing. And I hope, as I mentioned in the opening session, inaugural session, those of you who were listening, that we would encourage you to design a field research project on an environmental health issue of your choice in a location of your access using participatory research so that we can begin to see some concrete improvements in the aspects of environmental health in our country. And you as young researchers, as emerging researchers, can make a significant contribution. So all the very best. I will be around another 5-10 minutes in case somebody has immediate question, but you can digest this, you can think about it, read it. I will participate in the platform if you have questions on the Moodle platform in the next few days as well. So all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your wonderful insights. And so, any questions? If anybody wants
Yes,
to ask,
Anshumanji. Yeah, Anshumanji, Narendra here. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. I mean, it was, person of uh, who actually spent a kind of life completing the participatory research and bringing this field to the people, especially for giving the development sector. So it's incredible, and hats off to you. And we really admire you, and we try to live that on the ground. My question is that how to kind of make it. I know that slowly the system is now turning into, the government or agencies are turning into this mode in the name of participation or participatory research. But how to make it more in terms of acceptance and making it inclusive for the community as well as the stakeholder, bringing that acceptance at both ends. Any tips for that, sir?
There's only one tip. Thank you very much for your good wishes, Narendra ji. Um, there is only one tip. I have practiced it for 45 years. Now UGC also thinks I'm an expert. You practice it for 20 years, everybody around you, all stakeholders will see the value of it. Because if we believe in something, and if it shows even small results and impacts, it will spread. It will spread. And I'm sure your practice on the ground in your communities with your local stakeholders already showing results, good results. And that once you present it to government officials and other people, they will value the methodology you have used to reach that result. And I can tell you that if you have some colleges and universities near your place of work, bring those students and give them internship. Tell them to do participatory research. Now they will all get credit for it, as learn something, and all the bookish knowledge that is there in the classroom, they will get refreshed by engaging in the real world. Because once a civil engineer in an engineering college asked me this question that, sir, we are civil engineers. What have we got to do with participatory research? So I said, bhai, when you finish your education, what will you do? He said, I'll do a job. I said, where will you do a job? He said, maybe I'll get a job in PWD or I'll get a job in some construction company private. I said, okay, then what will you do? He said, I'll design some bridge or some road. Okay, so how will you design? You'll design on paper or you'll design also on the ground? Yeah, no, I'll visit the area. I said, you visit the area, what will you do? Oh, I'll talk to people. I said, who will you talk to? He said, I don't know who I talk to. I said, this is what I'm saying. If you learn this while you are studying, you may save some time. Otherwise, it will take you 3-4 years to figure out who to talk to. And in between, your roads will not be properly built. Their elevation will be mismatching the contours of the ground, and your bridges may collapse. Your culverts may not get completed because you are not talking to people. People will tell you what will work, what was there before, etc., etc. So you can improve on your. So while you are a student, go and talk to people now. Learn who is a patwari, who is a sarpanch, who is this, who is that. Otherwise, in civil engineering, you will never be taught like this. He said, good point, good point. So I'll go on internship. I said, yeah, go. I sent him to some local NGO there near the college. I said, 2 months you go. You look at what is going on. You look at all the civil engineering structures which are needing repair. And then you ask yourself, why are they needing repair? How old are they? Should they need repair in 2 years of construction or 20 years? Then that will make you a good civil engineer. I am not asking you to become a development worker. No, no, you remain civil engineer, but be a good civil engineer.
Yeah,
So
thank
the
you. Thank you, sir.
same
Thank
logic.
you. No, I completely agree. I'm for past 2 decades, I'm an occupational therapist by background, but
Very
working
good.
with the rural community.
Occupational therapists cannot do this work without talking to people all the time.
Yes, absolutely. That's
Well
important.
done,
Yeah,
well done.
yeah.
All the best.
No, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, can I ask one question? Is it possible?
Yes, please.
Sir, I am Raji. I am from Kerala. I would say this is my privilege and honor to attend your class, sir, because my research is on community engagement in education, higher education. So I joined this course extremely to see you and to attend your class. Sir, I really wanted to ask you something that, children in graduation and in post-graduation level, we tell them to do research, to do projects, but the circumstances and the curriculum is structured in such a manner that they cannot involve it with the people and do a proper research. It is just become a matter to accomplish a degree, and it felt so bad for me because I am an MSW graduate, sir. I've been to field, but when I wanted to do my PhD, it was very difficult for me to find a research question. And I was like really struggling. I had read articles, but something was lacking in me. And I just went to the road and I was, so few students when I was working. Then I found this concept of community engagement and I read some of your articles, which was a foundational stone for my research. What is your opinion on that, sir? I know that you are a committee member to draft the fostering social responsibility and community engagement in higher education, but yet my question is like, how far it is for a developing country like India to reach or to train students in a socially responsible and engaging manner, sir?
Very, very thoughtful of you. Very, very commendable of you. I want to thank you for doing what you are doing. And if outside this course, anytime you want to write to me, talk to me, you're most welcome. I have all the time for young people like you because I want you to contribute to the society. And I know that people like you will always do so. So please count on my support anytime, anywhere, in the course, outside the course, midnight, early morning, anytime. My belief is, and I have seen all these years, lots of young people. I've seen them all over India, in all the states I've traveled. I've seen them in many countries. I've seen them Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and African countries. Young people, when they enter ninth or eighth or ninth class in high school, they are full of energy, ideas, creativity, everywhere. Gradually, our schooling makes them docile, mugging, almost stupid box. We kill their creativity. Anything they try, we say, no, that's not the way. This is the way. It has been like this for 100 years. And by the time they reach college, they are further. They are given books to read, articles to read, without opportunity to question whether that article is relevant to the society where they are living. Forget any other society. Society where they're living. So if you are a student of sociology and you are being taught Talcott Parsons theory, this, that, if you are living in rural Kerala or you're living in Kasargod, if you're living in Trichur or wherever you are living, try to look at that theoretical framework in your surroundings, whether it works or not. And when you look at it critically, you will improve that framework. You will strengthen a new framework. You will produce new ideas. So framework is not the problem. The problem is rigidity by which we push our young people at a stage in life when they are most creative and energetic, not to think differently than what is prescribed. And those of you, like many of you in this program, like Anshuman, like me, we have broken that, gone away. And I must say, we have had a good time. We have made a contribution, but we have also enjoyed doing what we do. We are not suffering from depression or from boredom. Many of the people are suffering from boredom. They're doing the same silly thing again and again. Somebody was telling me that, sir, I'm now studying in MA Part 1, but what I'm studying is same thing which I finished in BA Part 3. Can you imagine the amount of boredom? Now, if that fellow doesn't play some game on his mobile, what will he do? You can't blame him. So our system is becoming very rigid and it demands, mindless compliance. Not just in education, even look around in society, mindless compliance. You can't ask questions to your parents. Huh? Oh, how can you question me? My hair is white. You are just 20-year-old. Eh? So, but this is what kills creativity. So, but change is happening. Young people have always pushed the boundaries. They will continue to push. The best thing is that we have more young people now than old people like me. So that momentum is coming. And whoever you meet, you spread the infection. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Sure, sir.
Any further questions?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all. I will be available for further conversation. I'll come back on Zoom again and also on the Moodle platform whenever there will be some questions and all. Anshuman can guide to me as well, and I'll respond. And anytime any of you want to discuss participatory research and its application, all of us are available.
Thank
All
you.
the very best. Stay well.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And good night.
Bye-bye.
So we have another 35 minutes. So anybody would like to share their experience? I hope like Rajimol is studying, but she's doing her thought process is very, I think, wonderful. And Narendra ji has already shared that what he's doing for the last 20 years. And I know God in Himachal Pradesh, we also work with them. So it's a wonderful work they are doing. But anybody else would like to share their experience in community-based participatory research and what Dr. Tandon had just explained the framework of community-based participatory research. So in this session, we are taking up module 2. So it is basically around the conventional research paradigm, what is participatory research, and Dr. Tandon explained very elaborately like what are the basic characteristics of conventional research and what is the community-based participatory research and community engagement. So hopefully you will gain a lot of insights from his lecture. this discussion. But anybody would like to share their experience or how they are actually grappling with the way just Rajiv experience, uh, shared her experience that what is grappling in her mind, uh, especially in terms of when recently the University Grant Commission under the new Education Policy 2020 has came up with the guidelines on fostering social responsibility and community engagement in higher education institutions. So now this is the responsibility, and they have already launched the 2 credit course for undergraduate and postgraduate students. And now we are going uh, towards a new way of looking at research, especially where higher education institutions are engaged. So earlier it was like I also did my PhD in economics almost like 13 years back, 16 years back now. So I know that what is my experience at that point of time and how everything is taught to me in the university. And but what I've learned here, so as Dr. Tandon has explained, every day is a new challenge. Every day you feel very satisfied at end of the day, like what you are doing and how you are actually contributing towards not only the community but also helping others to understand the importance of participatory research and why it is important and how it is actually changing the way the not only the donors are thinking, but also the way the various like governments are thinking. And yes, Narendra ji.
Thank you, Anshumanji. I think, as you mentioned, that being a part of CORD right from beginning of my career, and it's like 2 decades now. I think it's wonderful always. Like I would like to share one experience that, like being a therapist, I worked in a disability sector quite closely, and nationally doing that advocacy, continuously working, making Government of India to ratify the UN Convention in 2008, and in 2016 getting a new law, Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016, where we got 21 types of disability included in that as a comprehensive umbrella in the country. So I think, as Dr. Tandon said, that what you enjoy, what you love to do, and what you contribute in the ecosystem, I think these become examples. But we need to bring, I think, these kind of examples together, and how to make academics also more aggressively a partner in this, and making them to believe, and roping them in, as I think the Raji rightly pointed out. I mean, it is limited up to either the PhD work or the masters or the education, and then somewhere got disconnected, and it's not getting mainstreamed. What I wanted to make it as a point. And I mean, we are seeing those results, and somewhere in the global development ecosystem also we are seeing that change, that shift. But it's like it being a person in the development sector, that shift takes a lot of time, and we lose many things in that time. I think to how to make it more strategically in the ecosystem, and so that we can leverage the right the if I mean the results of it very fast for the society where we are serving, and bringing that shift where we say the people in the projects are beneficiaries, we say partner in the process, bringing that equilibrium and inclusivity. I think that's what a point I wanted to make. We to thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, as Dr. Tandon said, it's like in and out of our it's breathe in and breathe out, and top of it, it's without any pressure, without any depression, or and still see that change on the ground. I think that's I wanted to make a point. Thank you.
Thank you, Narendra ji. Thank you. Anybody else want to share his or her experience?
So,
Yes.
mine, I'm again Raji. So mine is not like a big experience, but what I reflected from this class is that I got an opportunity to do internship in Nepal. So we went to Nepal, and it was the structure of Nepal that attracted me towards Nepal, because I just wanted to know a different culture. And then we came to, as students of MSW, just a master's level, we have been assigned to one small NGO run by two students. And then with the conversation with them, we could able to understand that the menstrual hygiene issue was still a problem there. And then what we actually spoke with the women community, and they were very much reluctant to talk about it also. So what we have done is like we have conducted a class with associated with the wash, and we try to connect with the wash, and we found resource persons from that, and we actually conducted a workshop on how to prepare sanitary pads using cloth. And one of the best outcome was that we have given the class, the morning session was to the female members of the community, and then we were associating with one school, and even irrespective of the gender, irrespective of male or female, they learn to stitch by hand. They learned to stitch a cloth pad by their hand, and it was very beautiful experience for me. And I think right now I'm reflecting that it might be a community engagement or a community-based participatory research, because many women might be got some kind of an effect out of it, I hope. So this is one of the experience that I got from my field during my MSW graduation time.
Thank you, Raji, for sharing this experience. This not only helping them to actually understand this thing, but it also, as you said, that irrespective of the gender, so it's also break those barriers and how actually people perceive menstrual health and hygiene and what's all menstruation about. Vishalji, you want to share something? Yes, Vishalji, please.
Yes, good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, Vishal.
I just want to share one experience what we had in our project, where we are focusing on how to improve household waste segregation in Ujjain. It's a randomized control trial, and it seems quite quantitative, but when we look more in depth, it's a participation research, though it's a quantitative, outcomes are quantitative. But it will take time to describe the whole thing. But for the intervention, what we plan to develop an intervention. When we were planning an intervention in this project, and it was about a flip book. So we talked to, initially we started with, we thought that we know everything, and then based on research, we have developed some intervention flip books. But then we also thought that let us discuss this with some expert who are working in this area. And then finally, I think it was not coming in the right way. So then we also discussed with the local community or some of the community members. We show our flip book, show the pictures, and that will this work in the community where you are living? Will people understand what we are planning to explain? So we got lots of suggestions in terms of waste segregation, and we thought that it's we got lots of suggestion, and it helped us in development of that content, because there was one suggestion was that relate this with, because we were doing this in Ujjain. So Ujjain is quite religious place. So one community member said that you can put river Shipra as a thing, that if you do not segregate, then you are polluting the Shipra river, which is very important for us. Or there are some other suggestions, type of waste which local people are generating, and there are lots of things we got in that content. So we updated those content, and then the intervention is ongoing. So I'm saying that we should not, like, if we do not have resources, it's not necessary to do the participatory research, like only community participatory research, but you can, that it can be part of at some studies which is also a quantitative. So this is just experience I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you. Anyone else? Dr. Shoya, Sanirati, Kavya, Sakshi, Sonali, Naresh. Or any questions you have, or no? Have you completed your first module and the assignments in the Moodle?
Sir, I have seen like the assignment date has been closed. Yesterday I was looking into it. I'm so sorry to ask you right now, actually. Is there any possibility, like,
Okay. Who else is hasn't completed? We'll check. I will check today. Like who is I've completed. Okay, Naresh ji. Uh, but I will check and I drop a mail that who is lagging behind and who is completing. So please understand that this is for your professional development. This course is a professional development, and we are taking, that we are taking good number of experts from Nere, from Priya, uh, to help you understand like various aspects, and we'll be providing our best. Dr. Tandon is joined from Victoria right now. He's in Canada, Victoria. It's almost uh, 11 p.m. in the night. He has joined the session. So we also need to show our responsibility and our commitments because it is for our own personal professional development. Okay, and we haven't kept it very heavy assignment based or like so during the first week we have two sessions. Today we had a session. Now the second session, next session on this particular module, which is on the methods and tools of the multi-page participatory research, we are doing on 2nd of May. So it's not very heavy. We are actually demanding your time. It's 1.5 hours in the morning. So please, and I will check and I will, if I will see that who else is yet to complete the assignments, we'll figure out like how we can provide that window to complete the assignments. But please be on time. And I'm also looking at, we have like 17 registered participants for this course, and these participants are selected from number of applications we have received. So we are privileged to have here because this is highly subsidized course, I must tell you, and uh, it will be very difficult if you're not completing your assignments or not attending the sessions to give you certificate at the end. So that is subject to your attendance in the online sessions, completion of assignments, and in the last phase, we are also uh, helping you to develop a proposal uh, based on your learning and your area of interest around the environmental health district, and that you have to develop. And in order to develop that proposal, it is very important that you go through all the modules, interact with the experts, uh, do your assignments, raise questions if you have any questions. So that will help you to get into immersed into this whole experience of CBPR in environmental health. Okay, so unless you take it very, if you take it very lightly, you may not be able to prepare a proposal at the end. It will be very difficult for you. Okay, so my request is that please be, but make it a routine that mark your calendars. It's not very, we are not demanding much of your time. Like we understand that you're also studying or doing your jobs and all those things. But you have chosen for your professional development, then you have to pay attention to that. So any last words, Vishal?
I think, as you said that because community-based participatory research is it's I think it need more understanding. It doesn't have like yes, no, one, two type of answers or questions. So it's very important that the first thing is that regarding this course, we try to read things what is there in the module, because that is what first thing is important. Second thing is that I think you can think of a local problem or issues which surrounds you in your neighborhood, in your school, colleges. For example, what Rajimul told, that this menstrual hygiene thing, but it can be provision of safe drinking water in schools. Though there are, for example, everything is in place. For example, water pipeline is there, hand washing facility is there, pani water is also coming, but people are not using it, or student are not using it for different reasons. So this type of research question, what you said, that it's very difficult to find a research question. So one thing is very important in community participatory research is that we need to find a local question, local problem. We can't say that, okay, this will change the whole world or whole country or state. But in participatory research, we see what is our local issues and how we can involve the community in solving those problem. We can be a facilitators. There are many instances where just talking to community has solved many problems. Even for example, we have asked in our schools, like teacher has asked us that what we should do. The water is not coming, or we have no. So I said that, okay, talk to district education officer, show the pictures. So in some instances, the education officer visited those places and changed the system in a way, provide provision of safe drinking water, for example. So my suggestion is to we should not go beyond, like we should find a local problem. I think even for practice purpose also, that will be more easy. Even for PhD purpose topic also, that is what we are looking for. Even the government's also looking for local solutions. And community participatory research method, whatever method you can use, it is very important to communicate with the community, and how easy we can inform, we can tell that what we plan to do, what we are planning, or what are or the problems. Sometimes the problems are there, but we can we can communicate and create a network so that the problem can be solved. Ultimately, what is the goal of any research? To solve the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you so much. So I would also suggest that use this online sessions for for maximum interaction. So most of the things we are providing through modules, presentations, and all, we are also providing this recording of these lectures on the Moodle. So you are reading, not just only stick to the what is written in the module. Please also go through references we have provided. So read there, but use this 1.5 hour of it for your time for maximum interaction, your queries and all, so that you can actually get most out of this course. That is the idea. So these sessions, online sessions, are not meant for what is written there in the module. You anyway you can go through that. So purpose is not that, but purpose is to clarify your doubts. Purpose is to listen to your stories, your experiences, so that we can maximize the participation through interaction and all. So if you're learning participatory research, then we need to have more participatory conversations in your interactions with the experts as well. Okay. So yes, Vishalji.
Yes, just last thing, I was just thinking about a research question, which seems quite clinical in terms, but how a community can reduce unnecessary antibiotic use. So we think that it's too much clinical, doctor will tell, or the person who knows about antibiotic use can only reduce the antibiotic consumption. But this question is now because of AMR issue, and we know lots of background data that there is resistance everywhere, what we should do. So one thing is, okay, the doctor should be knowledgeable and should provide antibiotic when it is required, but how a community can develop a system, or how awareness can be provided so that antibiotic consumption or antibiotic is used when it is required. So this type of question is still we are not able to find the good answer, right answer, but this type of question can be asked. It can be in different scenario also. For example, reduction in NCD disease or obesity or hypertension in community. Though these are all clinical thing, but if the community know the benefit of these, so then they can definitely will. For example, this polio campaign, which was started 20, 30 years back, now everyone knows and how it was not solved clinically. It was solved by asking question, by providing information using different methods. So there are actually lots of research question which is around us. We just need to pick those. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. So thank you so much for your patience and our participation. I would encourage everyone to please ask questions, clarify your doubts, participate in the discussion. Okay, so we'll meet again on 2nd of May at 10 a.m. On community-based participatory research methods and tools. So thank you so much and goodbye. And please complete your assignments and all. I will look like if anything is closed, we can provide that window. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.